UFOs, aliens, interdimensional travel, what lies beyond. For years, the topic of space and what may or may not inhabit it has stunned the human population. Are we alone in the universe, or are we not? Both are equally terrifying. Have extraterrestrials ever made contact with humankind here on Earth? Why would the world's government be so secretive about this subject? I've investigated the paranormal, I've hunted down Bigfoot himself, and now it is time to attempt to uncover the secrets surrounding UFOs and alien kind. Today I'm heading to a small country town about 3 hours from my house called Dunedoo. There I will be meeting with a ufologist, Damian Knott.
Now, it's the age-old question, what is really out there? Ufologist Damian Knott joins us now. What exactly have you seen?
Okay, where do I start really?
My name's Damian John Knott. I've been researching the topic for about 33 years now. I had a sighting when I was 9 of a red orb of light that followed me down the street. It was probably about maybe 10 to 12 feet above my head, so I was very close. That's what initially got me launched into reading about the subject, researching it, trying to find out answers.
Damian has been investigating unidentified flying objects for over 30 years and has had countless sightings and experiences. During his research, he has captured countless photos and video evidence which has stunned scientists and his online fan base.
He has the world's biggest collection of photos and videos of unidentified flying objects.
He spent the past 25 years trying to prove what he saw was real. You're not crazy.
In the way of crazy, hallucinating and seeing, things that aren't there, no, I'm definitely not crazy.
Most of what we see, around about 83 to 85% are balls of light, all different sizes, colours, and then you've got other shapes and different craft. What we call flying saucers with the domes and stuff like that is rarely ever seen nowadays.
He has had documentaries on Netflix and Amazon Prime. He's had many books written about him and has also been the focus of countless podcasts and print media articles. He is the go-to man in Australia for all things UFO.
This is a subject, the more you get into it, the stranger it becomes. What is happening in the skies, what's happening around us.
So join me on this adventure as we journey to one of Australia's great towns. I'm kidding. Dunedoo, the astronomy capital of Australia.
Can you zoom out? That's not a good thing to see.
Whoa, did you see that flashing
Yeah, I
light?
did.
In our attempt to capture evidence of alien contact.
Before we go on any further, ladies and gentlemen, on this adventure, this video is brought to you by Doan Partners, the best accounting firm in the entire country. Doan Partners has been operating in Australia since 2003. It's owned and operated by a highly skilled chartered accountant who services clients all over this wide brown land. Doan provides excellent service and advice for personal, business and self-managed superannuation fund tax, as well as assisting with succession planning structuring. Doan will happily prepare you or your business's financials remotely, over the phone or by email. Doan work for their clients, not for the government, and thus will do anything within the law for you as their client. Now here's the real kicker. If you switch to Doan right now and say the phrase that Buttsman sent me, they will give you 20% off your first year's fees. That's absolutely unbelievable. But don't take my word for it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check out some client testimonies to see if Doan are the real deal. My experience with them was very quick and efficient, no stress at all on my end. Everyone in the office I dealt with was A1 top shelf material. The price was very reasonable for the return that they were able to obtain for me. In all, I received a refund of nearly $20,000 and I was over the moon at the result. Thanks, Doan, for supporting the channel. Now, on with the video.
Our journey starts, as many do, at a local dog cafe in my hometown of Newcastle, where I sat down with my good friend and one of Australia's leading UFO enthusiasts, not really, Georgia Productions.
You've been talking about this a lot recently. This is like your this is your new content thing. You're all about UFOs and conspiracy theories and all that type of stuff. What have you learned?
There's some interesting stuff out there. I'm not all over it. Not a professional. I wouldn't say I'm a UFO professional, but there's definitely some things out there that are really interesting, and you got to question, like, why would they make that up?
If UFOs did exist, why would the government keep that a secret? What benefit does that have for the people and the government?
I think it would scare people. Right. I think people would freak out and they get scared, and when people get scared, they do stupid things.
Ah. Much like the protest, well, not the protest, the storming of Area 51 last year.
I remember that. That was weird, wasn't it?
Okay, so you've seen YouTube videos and things like that. What about some big names in the field? Bob Lazar, does that ring a bell?
He was a scientist,
yes,
wasn't he, that worked near Area 51. Wasn't it? S4.
Yes.
That's the one. I'm not good with remembering names and things, but yeah, he worked in S4, and he got called in to fix an aircraft. They didn't tell him what it was or why he was doing it, but he got called in to, like, reverse engineer it and try to figure out how this aircraft had created, what was it, the gravitational...
So from memory, we basically create energy at the back of an aircraft to get it moving.
Yes.
And these aircraft, or whatever they were, these unidentified flying objects, they were... manipulating gravity to move through time and space. And it was compartmentalised in a way where he was working on one thing, another scientist was working on another, so they never really crossed paths and could never compare notes and work
weird.
out. Isn't it creepy?
So weird.
Either it was a crashed craft from the Russians in the 50s or something like that, or the Chinese or something like that, or it was from outer space. So the gentleman we're going to see out in Dunedoo, and the reason we're making this documentary, a lot of the evidence that he has collected and curated over the past 10 years or however long he's been doing it for is not so much of these giant flying crafts.
Whoa. Oh my God, mate. Look.
What do you got now?
Another one just appeared over town. Look. Oh, whoa.
A lot of it is like small, flying, weird, like just strange pieces of technology or something up in the sky that is floating along or going quickly, changing directions, and they literally are these unidentified flying objects that he doesn't know what they are. Well, he may know what they are. We're going to find that out.
That's crazy.
But people don't know what they are. Any passing words on how to give us a bit of good luck? Is there anything you'd like to say to wish us luck? Anything to be careful of?
Don't make any agreements with aliens if you come across them.
Well, probably the best advice we'll hear all day. If I can get through this video without being anally probed, I will be very pleased.
I've had some type of physical contact. I had a light that burned, sent a white light at me, a purple light. The following morning, my face was I was white as a ghost with red patches all over my face. My eyelashes were burnt at the bottom, right the way to the skin. I had red, bulgy eyes underneath. By the end of the week, this on my arm, this red mark where I covered my face from this intense light, started to get red and redder, and it formed blisters. And the blisters got so bad, yellow purple blisters, which were very strange, radiation type blisters. It burnt me, whatever it was, burnt me through my jacket. We went to several doctors. We went to about 11 specialists over a 7-month period. The closest they could come about the blisters and the burns, they thought I'd possibly been in an island north of Darwin and some tropical island and picked up some weird bacteria. I just sort of shut up, and because you don't want to mention to professors that you've seen UFOs and a UFO may have made you sick.
So the road trip to Dunedoo began. 4 hours of driving throughout the countryside of New South Wales. We stopped at the Macca's here and here as well. There was a wee break somewhere along here, and we thought about getting pies, but we didn't end up getting pies. And finally, we made it to the astronomy capital of Australia, our home for the evening, unfortunately, Dunedoo. It was time to meet with the man himself, the ufologist, Damian Knott.
Damian Knott, it's an absolute pleasure to be in your hometown. Was it your hometown?
Hometown.
Hometown.
Yeah.
Hometown hero. You're the reason we're here. Tell us, what is Dunedoo? What is a Dunedoo?
Dunedoo means black swan in Aboriginal.
Oh.
Yeah. It's basically Aboriginal town. A lot of towns around here have Aboriginal names. Yeah, it's a beautiful little town. 800 or so people, very tiny. Everyone knows everybody, and it's a very close community. So.
And we're underneath right now the roof of the Dunedoo Hotel, our beautiful accommodation for the night, 5-star. I think there's a wading pool. I'm pretty sure there's a plunge pool out the back. Is that correct?
I think you got a plunge pool, so you're very lucky.
Thank fuck, because I need one in my life.
Yeah.
I need 5-star accommodation or I won't even leave the house.
You can't go anywhere without the plunge pool.
What do people do in Dunedoo?
Not much at all, actually. We don't even have our own electrician. So
what do you
have to get an out-of-town electrician into town, yeah.
I hear that the Dunedoo show is on today.
Absolutely.
Is that true or is that a myth? Because it's been pissing down rain the entire way here, so we don't know if it's actually on.
You couldn't tell if you look up at the sky, or at the street. Normally the street's packed with people.
Really?
Yeah, well, considering the rain, everyone, I think, has called it off for a while or put it back a little bit.
Well, I reckon we should go and try and find either the Dunedoo show, a UFO or a pie.
I'd say a pie to start with, and then we'll go the rest. What do you reckon?
Let's get a pie. If you're seeing things in the sky, you're asking questions, you're researching, you've dedicated your life to it now. What do you think is happening?
That's the question. That's the $1 million question. What is happening in the skies? What's happening around us? Look, due to observation over the past 33 years, we have all different types of what we call UFOs, or nowadays we call them UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. It sort of takes away from the stigma attached to the word UFO, because everyone thinks alien, anal probing and stuff like that. So
me particularly.
Yeah. So that's it, right? So I use the word term UAP, but in any case, like the phenomenon itself is transient. It comes and goes when it wants. It does what it wants to do. It seems to come in waves. So one day you'll have maybe 2 or 3 days in a row. One week you'll see some strange things every night or during the daytime, and then and you won't see them for a month.
We jumped in the car and headed down the road to Damien's house to get more of a look at the equipment that he uses and the evidence that he has captured over the past 30 years.
So you have a lot of equipment here. There's a lot of camera gear. There's a lot of spy equipment. It's freaking me out.
Almost too much, yeah.
No, definitely too much. What is it all? What's going on here?
Well, a lot of people take photos and then they look at the photo and they see something strange in the picture. But usually it's normally an insect or something like this. It's not in the before or after photos. So I tried to show, with as many cameras as possible, with as many mobile phones as possible, photograph insects and put myself in places where I photograph birds and all this sort of stuff, and just a way of learning myself, just in case, so I don't put something out there that's an insect or this or that, and it's all about credibility. You don't want to be the insect guy or the balloon guy or whatever. A lot of skeptics, they say, if you capture it on one camera, it could be an anomaly in the camera itself. Yep. But if you capture it in 4 different cameras, that rules out the anomaly in the one camera.
Okay. And this is obviously some type of sex swing?
That's my that's my kinky little equipment here. I was hoping you wouldn't notice that, but
it certainly stands out. It's the first thing I saw when I walked in.
It does. It does its job. So.
Yeah, Pleasure Master 350. It's a much better device than the 340.
This is the 500. Sorry, I upgraded.
My apologies.
Yeah.
I'm really missing out. I do apologise.
You should. So.
People have that connection when they think of UFOs as little green men who came to Roswell, Area 51, all that type of stuff. Is that what we're seeing here? Do you think it's something different, or is it all one and the same?
If you had asked me 20-something years ago, I would have said they're aliens from Venus, or they're from Mars, or little green men or grey men or whatever. But now, actually researching more into it, and not just the research, you need to have the experiences yourself. And I've been lucky or fortunate enough in some people's eyes to have seen this phenomenon over my life. And I don't know whether it's I'm open to it or whatever the case is. Some people believe I'm evil, like I'm Satan, literally. Some people, there's a professor writing a book about me being Satan at the moment. He claims that he has evidence from America.
Why does he think you're Satan?
Because I have these strange lights follow me. They're seen by most people who hang around me. So it's not just something that I'm talking about. I'm filming it. And I'm having the weirdest experiences too. Why? Like, what's the chance? Most people don't see them in their whole lives, but then when you're going and talking about them, all of a sudden they seem to appear.
So if what you're saying is true and you're not Satan, why are they always around you?
I didn't say I wasn't Satan.
Why are they always around you? I guess that's the question.
Look, that's another $1 million question, right? I wish I knew myself, man. It's driven me crazy for 33 years, wondering what they are, why they've come close to me so many times, what's up with them, what do they want, what are they, number one, that's the main thing, like where do they come from? You have a million different questions that go on, but unfortunately, like a lot of people in my field who claim aliens speak to them, the aliens don't speak to me. I don't hear voices in my head, thankfully. Yet. I've tried to approach it with in a scientific kind of way, using as much equipment as I can. People want the stories. They're not just interested in UFO sightings anymore. They want to hear that someone's been abducted and taken and told all this information. Something about, and people just seem to latch on to that. And unfortunately, I found that most of it isn't true. Seems to be a lot of people attracted to this field of research who are not all there, if I can say it in the nicest term possible. All right, so I'll show you a couple of photos that we've taken. I prefer video, but I've included some decent photos for you guys. Here we go, during storms, we see a lot of UFOs.
Okay.
And sometimes, that's down to ball lightning or whatever, but ball lightning's not an 100% proved phenomenon anyway. No one's ever captured it. No one's ever really, it's been witnessed a couple of times, floating through aeroplanes, but it could be the same phenomenon as UFOs anyway. We don't know the difference, It was on my birthday back in 2013, and I witnessed this strange light dancing about just over the backyard here. I mean, you guys saw the shed, and it was just doing these little manoeuvres, going left to right and whatnot, and sometimes they go up and down. So took a photo, captured the movement of the object. As you see, everything else is focused and in frame. And a lot of this phenomenon, it's picked up with a field or something strange around it. Like you see, like a green glow here. A lot of it has like an orange glow or a yellow glow, so it's giving off some sort of energy that the camera is able to capture. Ones that appear near planes with multiple coloured lights on it.
Oh, right.
Got a few photos of that one. And then you got your plane down here, cruising underneath it. Blue balls of light, this is in Dunedoo here, and this was when there was a rainy night. The rain cleared, but it was still overcast, and this thing came down underneath the clouds. So they do come down every now and then, yeah.
What you've just pulled up here is really interesting because it actually resembles something that we saw.
Is it?
We were up at a friend of mine, Adam's farm. Adam Greentree is a hunter, real well-known, real well-respected adventurer, outdoorsman sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we were sitting around his fire, and out on the mountainside, beyond the fire, we're looking at a beautiful view he has, and we saw this big orange light like that sort of ascend into the sky. But previously we saw some headlights up there, so we assumed that it was a flare. Someone might have been in trouble.
It looked like a flare to begin with.
It looked like a flare, but it didn't travel like a flare.
Yeah.
It went up, across, up some more, and then disappeared.
Yeah.
And no flares can, obviously, they can't travel in a linear sort of plane. They have to be up and straight down, right?
And also you got the fact that it changed direction multiple times, right, as well. Flares normally, they drift to the ground and that's it, they're gone.
It was very strange. He had never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
Which scared us.
Because I usually feel safe around him because he's, shooting bows and taking down.
He's like Rambo.
He is. He fought off a bear with a gun that didn't have, the bullet was jammed and nothing even happened.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, terrifying stuff. Crazy dude. But it was our first experience that had anything to do with any of this.
Excellent.
And it was cool to see. But it looked exactly like that.
The way you describe it's a typical UFO. What I get reported to me, what I've seen myself, the way they dance around, move around, they'll go with no forward inertia. They'll come to a full stop, then change direction. They're just balls of light that were just cruising together in formation.
Can you zoom out? Not a good thing to see. You look at that, you're just like, okay, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to go lay down. That's too much.
Yeah, it's like a science fiction movie almost, It's really strange, but Yeah, I got that. These ones in about 15 photographs, just changing formations too. They didn't stay in that formation, but they kept together all the way across.
Yeah. I'm sure people have said to you that you're crazy or you don't know what you're talking about.
No doubt. It's happened, yeah.
And there's other things that you have witnessed. You mentioned before you've witnessed some paranormal activity, ghosts, things like that.
Yeah.
Why do you think all this energy is, why do you think you're able to visually see this and be able to experience it when someone else may not?
To me, I personally thought it was because I was open to them. You know, a lot of people with who see UFOs also have paranormal activity happen as well. So it seems to go hand in hand. A lot of the ghost people won't talk about it. A lot of the UFO people won't talk about it or put the links together. But in a documentary I have coming up, I'm speaking about the links. There's 28 links that I found that connect the phenomenon, ghost type phenomenon and UFOs. And there's a lot they have in common that most people would go straight over their heads. But there is something going on. Okay, this is where it gets a bit nuts. All right, so you got ones like this. And you'll see this object come in from the right here, just here, a metallic sphere. And it just stops right where I'm filming. Right in a sec, it just stops now.
What?
Stops moving, and then just sits there.
That's a really strange thing because it's not a normal UFO sort of like it's a disc flying through the sky. That's just like a weird
metallic-y sphere kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you'll see a ball coming out of the cloud here, and then there's smaller balls that are actually getting sucked into it, and it's giving off little bits of vapor or some sort of steam or something into the air around it. But you'll see in a sec a bunch of little balls that form, see, and fly into it. Here's another one I caught out at the Blue Mountains, actually. And just slowed down a bit to show these little balls flying out of it. It was like a cigar-shaped thing and very unusual. A lot of the captures, I don't have to go anywhere. I'm just lucky enough I can go out in the backyard, put the bin out or something and then look up and see something. You know, it's just bizarre. When you're thinking about them and overthinking, you never see anything. And so I've had experts in, you know, videography and insects and all sorts of people look at all my footage, and anything that can be explained away, I don't show the public. Anything that I can explain away myself, I don't show the public. But these ones, no one's given an explanation for, no one can work out what they are. So it does your head in some days because you really want to know, you know, but it's just the answer's never forthcoming with this phenomenon. You know, you watch the ones come down from the sky here. Phew, see that?
So is that not a meteor or a...
Well, no, what actually happens is if you look at the original footage, they actually fly into the small valley just behind us. And the valley's only like a half a K long to the next ridge. So, and you hear, it's so quiet, you hear everything. And so if they were meteorites flying, because you actually see them go down into the, past the mountain there. And if they were meteorites, even small little meteorites, they'd be hitting these pine trees because the whole area is full of these pine trees. They'd be smashing into the ground.
So you can see,
going through trees.
Beyond that tree line there, the mountain range, there's obviously the valleys behind it, so you can't see where the beam of light's going.
In some of the cases, some of them actually go down in front of this mountain here. And that's what the interesting part, because they change direction multiple times before they do that.
If you can't hear it hitting the valley, then maybe it's, if this is the valley here and the Earth's curvature's like that,
Goes over it.
well, it's hitting this portion of the atmosphere and that's where you're seeing it hit and then it's burned up, maybe.
Possibly, that's a possibility.
I don't know, that's my sceptical brain sort of thinking.
You have to be sceptical about this stuff.
Well, every light you see in the sky can't be an alien craft.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, I don't call them aliens.
Sure.
I don't think they're aliens, all of them. You know, everyone thinks UFO alien. I don't. I think some of these could be natural phenomenon that we don't know about. Natural, but with an intelligence.
Sure.
This has happened all throughout my life, man, with these things, and it's nuts. You know, you start to think you're going crazy, but I know that I'm not. I've been cleared as being crazy by the doctors or psychiatrists or whatever.
Not being crazy.
Yeah, not being crazy. Yeah, cleared for being crazy. Yeah, that's right.
And cleared as being crazy.
I'm absolutely insane, but yeah, don't hold that against me. I was with a good friend, Mike, who's an author, 14 investigator, and we're on a mountainside and we actually had a light that came down from the sky and it was about maybe 4 to 6 foot long and it was about a metre or two in diameter, and melted into the ground just next to my hand while we're having a sky watch. And just the whole thing just went into the ground, no sound, no movement of the ground, nothing whatsoever. There's a lot of cases out there in ufology where a lot of people have had close contact with these craft or ships or whatever you want to call them and have become sick afterwards. And there's also cases of these things cruising around, sending beams of light and burning people. There was a really good case in Brazil years ago in the 80s, and on an island called Colares off Brazil, and there was UFOs coming out of the jungle attacking people, and it became that full on. The doctor in this town, she didn't believe the people at first. She thought that they were all, you know, it was like a big mass hysteria kind of thing. And she had people coming in with these marks and burns, and these things were sending lights through people's rooftops, and they were burning them in their beds without affecting the roof or anything, just pass through the roof and then burn them. Very strange stuff. And the doctor in the town who didn't believe, she eventually saw one of these things and then said, okay, I believe now, that's it. 3 people died from it. About 60 or 70 was zapped and was seriously ill for years. And it's a widely publicised case. So that, my case, and a few others have made me think these things aren't as good. All of them aren't as good as what people seem to think. A lot of people seem to think that they're here to help us, they're here to save us, they're here to show us the way, the future and all that sort of stuff. And it turns out that, you know, I think that good and bad permeate through the whole universe, just like they do here on Earth. They might be like us with a pile of ants on an anthill, you know,
sure.
When you're a kid, you kick the ants and have a bit of fun with
them.
Well,
it sort of sounds like you've got a magnifying glass and you're burning the ants.
Well, it almost is like that, yeah, except it's them on us.
At this point, the weather had taken a turn for the best, finally, so we decided to do what anyone should do when they're in Dunedoo and head to the Dunedoo show before the evening set in.
There's a bloke in town that sees UFOs, right, all the time. Videos of him just showed us all this evidence, and he's going to take us out tonight to go and find some. So have you blokes ever seen any UFOs around here or no?
No, fuck yeah, there's been fucking heaps of them up there.
Yeah. Do you ever wake up in the morning after a big night, there's a UFO next to you?
Yeah. Last night, and there was just one.
UFOs going everywhere.
Yeah.
I was like, look at that, Ned. He's like, I can't do it.
What do you do here? Is there nightclubs or what do? You just go to the hotel? Yeah.
No, you got to go to Dubbo. You got to go to the big smoke.
That's the big smoke.
Yeah, that's the big
Gross.
Smoke. Like Newcastle now, when we talk about Newcastle, that's the big smoke. That's the big dog smoke.
What's Sydney? Is that like a fucking metropolis or something? You drive 4 hours out of Newcastle and everyone starts talking like they're in some fucking country western. Grow up.
There's what's called the zoo hypothesis, which goes into why they haven't contacted us yet, why they haven't landed on the White House lawn, you know, and it's because they're allowing us to mature at our own rate. That kind of knowledge, I mean, back in the 70s, they worked out that if the public was told this kind of knowledge, there would be uprisings, there would be people turning away from religion, there'd be all sorts of crazy stuff happening, people fleeing to the hills. And the fact is, like, if you're an alien and you're intelligent, you've been watching humans for a while, you know how violent and scary we are as a species, how we treat people like our own race that look different than us, right? And how we, in our minds, and imagine an alien landed on the White House lawn and came out and this little freaky grey thing, you know, the first thing we do, in America especially, would
absolutely.
Or baseball bat to the head.
Well,
or
that's what
like
every race of humans has done as they've moved across the globe throughout time. Is anyone that looks differently, you take them out.
If you put religion aside and God and Jesus and everything, what if we were created by these extraterrestrials that are now observing us? Almost like a scientist would create bacteria in a petri dish and then observe the bacteria. He doesn't jump into the petri dish and swim around with the bacteria, just like they don't come down here and land and, hey, how you doing, and blah, blah, blah. It's a very conspicuous thing that they're doing. It's quite, seems to be something behind it. It's an agenda, and I don't think it's a very nice agenda. They don't seem like they love us, but at the same time, they don't seem like they hate us.
We could only get one room in the entire town because everyone's here because of the show. It's the biggest day of the entire year. So we had to get one room for 4 people. It cost $100, $25 a night. Oh God, this is terrifying. The last time I stayed in a pub like this, we woke up and there were hospital sheets we were sleeping in.
Blood, wasn't it?
There was blood. There was a big blood spot. That was in Tamworth. Oh. Hey, Ma, get off the dang roof.
No.
Oh, gross.
Oh, no.
It's not that bad, but it's pretty gross.
Turn off.
If there's a more haunted room in the entire world, I have not seen it. It's actually not as bad as I thought. How many blokes do you reckon stayed at the pub and pissed in these beds?
About to be a few more.
Cheers. Thank you very much for having us. I appreciate it. Thank you. Little Dixon.
If you see a ball of light in a house, right, you ask a ghost hunter, what's that? You'll say it's a ghost. You see a ball of light above a farm, you know, and ask the farmer what it is, you'll say it's a min light. You ask a ufologist who sees a light in the sky, he'll say it's a UFO. In reality, they're just in the home, outside and up all around us. So it's the same phenomenon, or it's a very similar phenomenon, coming from the same place. I think it's extra-dimensional, ultra-dimensional. It's really hard to say. It's hard to pinpoint. I don't have that equipment where I can go, it's coming from another dimension. And then, here you go, it's the evidence, you know.
So it's just this area of science that no one understands yet.
Yeah, basically. Well, these things can do stuff that our physics say is impossible.
So many explanations for all the things that you're seeing, people are hearing, people are seeing on planes, on the ground. And
it's weird for people not to have an answer, though, isn't it?
But that's the thing that freaks everyone out, is you see all these people have these experiences and then people just, rather than, you know, having an answer for it, they just put it down to just bullshit. And I think that's what's unfair about it.
Yeah.
I think when people say you're crazy because you see these things, and then they have the evidence in front of them, like what you showed us, and even then people just go, no, it's not, it's nothing.
That's human nature, I guess, man. At the end of the day, what I tell everybody, you've got to see it to believe it. You know, the old saying goes, you've got to see it to believe it. That's it. At the end of the day, you can't convince anyone of anything.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
This has happened through history. This isn't just happening now or in the 50s with Roswell.
Absolutely.
There's paintings by Leonardo da Vinci who's got like a little saucer in the background sort of things, or at least what looks like a flying saucer.
Yeah.
So you think that perhaps this has been happening since the dawn of man?
We've been seeing them for thousands of years. The ancient Romans used to describe them as flying shields. You know, the times of the Greeks spoke about them as well, and the Macedonians spoke about them. The Sumerians, the Byzantines, all throughout history they've been with us. We describe them with what we know at the time. You know, with the technology we know ourselves. That's the description we give to them, you know. So it's changed over the years, the description, but it stayed virtually the same, you know. Flying things, moving through the sky, bright as anything, lit up with beings in them.
As the sun set over Dunedoo, it was time to turn our minds to the upcoming Skywatch. We headed back to Damien's house, prepared the equipment.
Oh, it feels like I'm playing Modern Warfare. This is great.
It was time to stare up at the sky and see some aliens.
Righto, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Damo's backyard. Big bad Damo. He's got us out the back. We have myself, Little Dickie's here. She's back looking for UFOs.
Indeed.
What do you think is scarier, UFOs or ghosts?
UFOs.
Why?
1000%. I don't know.
I feel the same.
I just feel very, very anxious about it all.
I feel very open here too.
Yeah.
Like something's just going to come and beam me up.
Yeah, so do I.
We've also got the offsider to the stars, Damo's offsider, Michael. Hello.
Hello.
Have you been a part of Damo's work in the past? What's going on? Tell us the story.
About 8 years ago, I heard about Damien's work and I decided to come and have a look, and I spent a night or two out here with him. It was on, and I saw more over 2 or 3 nights with Damien than I had spent since 1988, going to odd locations and looking for stuff. So
wow.
I thought there was something underneath the lid.
So you've been involved in this for some time, the UFO searching?
Everything.
Okay, everything.
Yeah, ghosts, UFOs, any sort of paranormal claims. Okay. And I hide behind a folklore. I'm a folklore collector.
Okay. What is the sort of game plan here? Do we just sit here and wait? Should we film everything? What are we sort of looking at?
Well, basically we sit here, wait, look at the sky, hope something comes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you can really do. You can't, we don't have them on a rope. We can pull them down and say, come on down now, guys. Now's the perfect time. But, you know, if you're not thinking about them too much, that's when you tend to see them more. So if you're sitting around talking, having a chat, that's when they seem to pop up. It's really strange when you're not so concentrated on them. Yeah.
And we've got the show down the road, so there's noises happening. There's a big party going on down there. They just had fireworks go up. And as you've said previously, that sort of attracts them in, brings them in, and would a bit of activity down there bring them in? They're a bit curious. Maybe, perhaps that's what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. They seem attracted to fireworks.
Sure.
And I don't know why. It's just, I guess if you're watching us, like they're observing us, whatever, and they saw these lights going everywhere, just go and check it out.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, to get a perfect view of the sky, we need to absolutely cut out all light sources. Stewie, turn those lights off, big boy. Oh my God. Wow. It's really hard to sort of look at the sky and maintain eye contact with one area where...
Yeah, it's a satellite coming at us.
Satellite, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
You're looking at the same spot in the sky.
And you can see these satellites just moving across almost a white, it just looks like a star moving. There's so much like glistening of the stars that it picks up your attention here, 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 and here.
Yeah, you can be looking at a part of the sky here, and then all of a sudden you'll see like a twinkle over here, and it'll catch your eye, but it is just a star. Yeah, it's just an optical illusion effect.
You really have built a career out of this. It's very impressive.
It's sort of just fallen into my lap since I was a kid, so I guess it's what I was.
Do you feel lucky that happened, or has it ever felt sort of like Harry Potter where you've got a bit of a curse? Or do you feel...
I have felt like it's cursed, especially over the past few years.
How do you feel now about it?
Well, it's caused a lot of drama in my life, relationship-wise, friends. People think you're nuts, my family, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's caused a lot of issues in my life. And sometimes I wish I wasn't, so open about it with everyone, and honest about it with everyone, And for a while I wasn't in my life, but it wasn't until like 9 years ago when the Sun Herald journalist saw the UFOs here, and other people started coming up and seeing heaps of them. I was like, okay, finally I've got some backup, not just my dad and my brothers or anything.
And you know that you're not going crazy.
Going crazy, yeah. You got some reputable people, like pilots and all sorts of people coming here and seeing UFOs, like on a nightly basis almost sometimes. It was crazy. See, we could all be looking over in this direction and the activity's happening over the mountain range behind us. It's a hit and miss with this thing, with this whole topic.
The wide expanse of space is magnificent, but also fucking terrifying. One of the more common comments I've heard from a lot of people who are in the UFO field is the interactions they have with the government, or the way the government tries to control what people are looking at. Do you think that's real? And have you had any experiences with the men in black or government representatives turning up at your door and saying you need to calm down, you need to stop talking, that type of thing?
Yeah, I do believe that there is some organisation which seems to control the UFO topic. And I think nowadays they do it a bit different. Like in the old days, these men in black would rock up to witnesses' doors and then threaten them, or, with some type of threat to their family, or whatever the case is, or a concealed threat or whatever. But nowadays I think it's a bit too risky for them to do that. Everyone's got mobile phones with cameras, and imagine filming the Men in Black, putting it on YouTube. You got your first ever Men in Black video in the world, so they wouldn't do that. And so instead they use other things, hackers, all sorts of stuff. They bury your footage in algorithms in YouTube so they don't get seen. All sorts of stuff, delete your footage. Even on Facebook, you'll upload a really good video and then within about 5 minutes, it's just gone and you don't know where it is.
Oh.
Well, did you see that flash in the cloud?
I did.
Yep, UAP, that's a flasher. I saw that straight away.
That too.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right there?
Yep, right in that spot.
Should I be pointing at it with a laser?
Yeah, probably not. Super bright, eh? Super big.
I absolutely saw it. It's like someone was up in the cloud and they turned a light on, turned a torch on.
Inside the cloud, yeah.
We were just sort of sitting here looking in this direction. We saw a plane and then perhaps, a couple of hundred, I don't know, it's hard to tell in the sky, but there was a flash. A ball of light flashed almost like it came from within a cloud.
Like a torch.
Like a torch turning on in a cloud. Now, you could say that that's ball lightning, you could say that that's...
It wasn't lightning.
It was very strange. So that's number one tonight. And obviously with such a wide sky to cover, it's hard to do it and cover it with cameras. But trust me, it was there. Satellite?
Oh,
Looks
well
like the
done there.
ISS. That might be the ISS.
Isn't that crazy? How often do you see satellites? You know what's nuts is how fast that's travelling right now.
It's going thousands of miles an hour, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Just hawking.
And to us, it just looks like it's moving.
Yeah.
Super slow.
And to them, they're just like, eh.
And it's nothing to them either, yeah.
How many people are on the International Space Station right now?
There'd be about 7 or 8.
Isn't that funny that we're looking at 7 or 8 people just hawking?
Sitting in this tight little...
Isn't that terrifying?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So right now, there's more and more documents being released by the American government when it comes to declassification.
Yep.
Do you think that that is, if that's legit, is that just sort of misinformation thrown in there to try and keep people off the scent of something else, or?
The reason why they're doing that at the moment is because of internet and YouTube. Because the fact that anybody can film a UFO around the world and then just put it straight up on, they can't stop that anymore. They can't.
But it's not just people like you who are doing it in their backyard. We're talking about fighter pilots in the American Air Force who are filming like the Tic Tac footage with Commander Favor.
Yeah.
He's filming this object going at astronomical speeds, speeds that don't exist.
Yeah.
And that's there. It's
There's
real.
a reason why they're all coming out now and saying it. They're trying to, because for years they've rubbished and ridiculed the subject, and anyone who's seen the subject has been ridiculed. People have had their lives destroyed because of what the government's done. They know that UFOs exist. The governments all around the world know this, and I think that there is an organisation built into certain governments that tend to keep a lid on this subject, or try to keep a lid on it. I think because nowadays we're in the era of technology, things are a bit different. It's not so much, like I said before, they're coming up and threatening you. It's more of a, hacking your channels, hacking your website, doing this and trying to just silence you in that kind of way.
What did the Herald Sun or the Sun Herald people see here?
They saw 2 UFOs come over the house here, playing a game of catch up with each other. So
Really?
one would zip forward, and they were white balls of light, and then one would zip forward, and then the other one would catch up to it really quick. So they were changing speed. They kept pretty much the same direction. They veered a bit to the left, but the Sun Herald reporters, like Tim Barlass, he's been in the Sun Herald for years, he's really respected, and he had his photographer here. They were just glued. They couldn't take their eyes off these things. They're going, oh, what? Oh, wow. They'd never even seen a satellite, let alone 2 UFOs chasing each other. Like, it was bizarre. And I said, look, I'll do a story with you only if you admit to it in the paper that you saw what you saw. And they did. They admitted in the paper that they saw 2 UFOs. They couldn't explain them. That's when people started coming here and seeing them as well.
It's funny when people who have no science background say they can't explain it. Because of course you can't fucking explain it. I see that light that we just saw before.
Yeah.
I go, well, I can't explain it. But do you think anyone at home's going, well, if Isaac can't explain it, then it makes no sense?
Then it's and you can't explain this phenomenon. A lot of people try to, and they write books about it, make money off it and all that sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, no one really knows the truth about what they are and where they come from. Everyone has an idea or their own idea, but at the end of the day, it's still a mystery, man, and that's what's so awesome about it.
As the weather changed once again and the clouds rolled in, we ended the Skywatch, but we left Damien's cameras rolling throughout the night, which, amazingly, captured some very convincing photographs.
Hello.
Hey mate, it's Isaac. How are you?
Hey Isaac, good. How's yourself?
Mate, very, very well. We caught a few things on your cameras. I'm just wondering if you can take me through. I haven't looked at anything yet. Producer Connor said, don't look at it yet until you talk to Damo, and then we'll work it out from there. So I've got 2 files here. They're both photos? Yeah, they're both photos.
Both photographs, yep.
So can you take me through which one I should look at first and what it is?
Okay, well I'd say have a look at the one that was taken on the night that you guys were here in the backyard. I'd set the composite cameras up and it's a we call it, you know how we had the lights on in the backyard at one stage? We couldn't really see much of anything. Well, I set the composite cameras up during that stage, and part of the light actually whited out part of the picture, but the bottom right-hand corner of the picture is perfectly fine, just due to the angle of the light where I had the camera. So having a look at that photograph, I noticed a small tic-tac type UFO, yellow-coloured thing.
I'm looking at it now.
Off in the distance, hanging to the right of the tree, just behind the yard where we're all sitting. And obviously at the time we couldn't really see it because the lights were right in front of us. But lucky enough, the camera actually seemed to have captured it, which was really, really good. And so it seems horizontal to the tree, so it rules out many things. It's not a star, it's not a plane or anything like that. It's something that was sitting there at least for a small amount of time while we were talking.
I guess the question is, what do you think it is?
Well, in every sense of the word, it's a UAP or UFO. It's unidentified, can't work out what it is. It was very low on the horizon, and it doesn't seem too far away back from the tree. So whatever it was close to us. We didn't hear any airplane noises. We didn't hear any other strange sounds, as far as I can remember. But whatever it was there, and in every sense of the word, it is a unidentified aerial phenomenon or unidentified flying object.
So we caught a UFO on camera.
On camera while you guys were here in the backyard with us.
Well, congratulations to you and to us. Fantastic. Wow. We've
They came for you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't blame them. Big fans. The second photo, what have we got here?
Well, that's the following morning. Captured a green spherical light hanging above the mountain range. And that colour green is typical of the type of UFO coloured green that is reported and seen all around the world. It's a very different type of green. It's a bright, very bright, spectacular kind of green. And lucky enough, we were able to capture it. So whatever this light did, it appeared in that 20-25 minutes that the camera was filming, and then either blinked back out or just disappeared completely or took off really quick, or whatever the case is.
Well, there you go. So we caught 2 UFOs on camera in the one night and had the experience with the flash. This is pretty cool. It is strange. I mean, mate, best of luck with all your endeavours and trying to capture more of these on camera. And it'll be very interesting to watch what happens on your end. But I think the people will really enjoy the doco we made, and we'll find this interesting evidence. Just maybe it'll change some people and make them believers even.
What I always say with UFO phenomenon, you have to see it to believe it yourself. Like with anything, the old saying, you got to see to believe.
Sure.
But, you know, if it can steer some people into hopefully looking up at the sky and then possibly, opening up their mind more, I'm happy for that. I'm more than happy. That's all I'm in this for. And, hopefully to get open some minds and then hopefully get rid of some stigma attached to the UFO phenomenon.
Definitely. That was very interesting. Damien caught some things. I mean, whether or not they are alien spacecraft, but they certainly are unidentified flying objects. They are UFOs. You don't know what they are, or you can't tell what they are. Are they ball lightning? Are they something floating in the sky? Is something happened with the camera and it caught something, the edge of a plane or something, some weather event? I don't know. That's why we're thinking of changing the end of this show to I don't fucking know, because every episode we go, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to say to you.
But throughout time, whenever history has stared into the dark openness of space, we have wondered. Is anyone staring back? And until alien spacecraft land on the front lawn of the White House and Joe Biden sends out a drone strike to kill them. Sorry, no, that's not what I'm trying to say here. Until the evidence is right there in front of everyone's face, perhaps we will never truly believe. However, if we just look at the sheer size of space, the never-ending expanse, the infinite growth and possibility, surely we cannot be alone. This is an excerpt from Carl Sagan's book, Pale Blue Dot. Inspired by an image taken in 1990, 6.4 4 billion kilometres away from Earth by Voyager 1. Just to give you an idea of how small we truly are and how great our surroundings will always be. Look at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who ever was lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Are we alone? Surely not.